I go back to? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Avini Vibes. Today is March 27th, 2025. I'm your host, Christine Orlando, and I'm with Carol Witt, my co-host and techie person, always there to help out. And it looks like we do have Steve with us as a guest tonight. Welcome, Steve. Steve is from my town. Hey, Steve, glad you joined us tonight. I am not in my home studio office. I'm actually over at my chiropractor's office using her studio, and I just hope that all this goes well with being in a new space. But I just want to tell you, we also have Dr. Nikita is going to be with us a little bit later, and then we also have Chip Littlejohn as well. He is a chief scientific director on the team there. So we're always grateful to have Chip. Love it that there's 44 people. This is growing and growing and growing. And just so you know, we're very blessed to have the most amazing products, amazing leadership and company that changes people's lives. It truly does. And listen, I think Eddie shared this with me. My sponsor, Eddie Kwaski, said, we're not a supplemental company. We take out what's bad and we making way for the good. Somebody said that. And I think it was Eddie. But remember, please, that we don't make any medical claims. We don't diagnose. And we are here to learn from one another, to learn from our guest speaker tonight. And again, feel free when we get moving a little bit when after Dr. Karah speaks, she's going to talk heavily on Cell Defender tonight because that's something she's really excited about. And this is another thing I wanted to share with you. According to World Health Organization, about 98% of all diseases are tied to excess heavy metals and environmental toxins in the body. If you Google any disease and heavy metals, you'll see that for yourself. So I urge you to take the time to do that. Any disease, okay? And again, put that in. That's according to the World Health Organization. And so it's critical for us to clean our bodies, and it's important to take these metals and heavy toxins out. We simply do have the best products here, and we have various products. Dr. Karah, I'm going to introduce her, and she's going to go through Cell Defender. But again, we do have not only Cell Defender, each show we try to feature something special, a different product, such as the Nano Silver. And then we also, Chip will answer any questions if you have questions. The mushrooms, one of my favorites, is immunity mushrooms, Cardio Plus Mind and Vision, plus Balance, and plus Fiber. So just amazing products, plus energy. Everything has a plus, right? And plus relief. That is truly my favorite product. And the new one, Trim Science, and that's a whole nother story. When I just heard a story about somebody's pants are too big on them right now. So that's good news. So feels good to take those pants out of the closet. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Karah. She's with us tonight. She's a holistic and wellness counselor. She is classified as a homeopathy, chronic and acute conditions. You can unmute Dr. Karah. She specializes in environmental and chemical exposures on the reduction of that, integrative and functional medicine, and nutritional counseling. She's got a wealth of knowledge, and she's here tonight to share her story with us. Thank you, Dr. Karah, for joining us. The floor is yours. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you, Christine. That was a beautiful introduction. I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. And Thine, I'm probably going to answer some of your questions why Sarah was able to get pregnant tonight. So I actually am a naturopathic doctor, and I specialize in women's health and hormones and environmental medicine. But tonight I really want to focus on our hormones. So I'm going to go ahead and start presenting. Unfortunately, it's going to make my screen really big, and y'all are going to be pushed off to another monitor. So if you could just write down any questions that you have, and then I'll address them at the end because I'm not going to be able to see the chat during the presentation. Okay. So, question for y'all. How many of you noticed that as your as your age increased, so did your waistline? How many of you also noticed that as your age increased, your energy decreased? I'm going to answer some of those questions today. So, are common toxins sabotaging your hormones? So, a little bit more about me. I run the practice called Thrive Healing Institute. And I help women create the life that they love simply by reducing their toxic load, using simple lifestyle changes and smart supplementation. Cell Defender is one of those smart supplements that I encourage every individual on this call to be utilizing on a daily basis. So let's talk a little bit about hormones. So our body has multiple endocrine glands. And for any of the spiritual entrepreneurs out there, you will notice that they pretty much so align with all of your chakras. So I want to go ahead and start at the top with our pineal gland. The pineal gland produces melatonin. It really determines how well and how much we sleep. Right under that is our hypothalamus that's connected to our brain, really regulates all of your body systems from your temperature to your appetite and weight, your sex drive, your thirst, your mood, your sleep, all of those good things. Right below that, you're going to find your pituitary gland. Your pituitary gland is your master control gland. Interestingly enough, in embryology, so when you're in utero, it actually is part of your tongue and they separate. So what it does is it makes precursors for all the other hormones in your body. So the pituitary gland is going to produce the precursors and then send them through the bloodstream to the other endocrine organs. And then that endocrine organ is going to determine whether you need that hormone or not. And if you do need it, then it'll go ahead and convert it into its active form and it becomes an active hormone. So many of us know right there in the center of our throat is our thyroid and our parathyroid hormone. Our parathyroid hormone controls a lot of our calcium. So how much calcium are in our bones and our blood, and it kind of balances out so that you don't have too much in your blood and then you don't have too much in your bones, because if you have too much in your bones, then that can be detrimental to your health as well. Right here, we have our thymus. We're all born with a giant thymus because the thymus is our immune system when we're born. So as we age and we're exposed to different viruses and bacteria and all sorts of different things in the soil and our foods and our mother's milk, all those things, our gut takes over our immune system. And as adults, 80% of our immune system relies in our gut, and our thymus still is there, but it shrinks down to almost like a quarter size. So going down a little bit further, we have our adrenal glands. Our adrenal glands produce a lot of our androgens. So our androgens are associated and kind of precursors to our reproductive hormones, but they're a whole different set of hormones that are active on various parts in our bodies. But more so also is our cortisol and adrenaline. So like, let's say that you're driving down the street and you slam on your brakes to avoid a rear end collision, that your body produces that adrenaline. That's coming from your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys, and they're just small little triangular shaped organs, but they are very, very powerful in the body. Around the same area, we also have our pancreas. Our pancreas, as most of you know, produces insulin and really controls how much blood glucose we have both in the bloodstream and how much gets moved into the cells in order for the cells to have food to do everything that they need to do for our bodies. And then down at the bottom, we have our sex and our reproductive hormones. So for women, those are our ovaries. And for men, it's the testes. All of them do produce the exact same things, just in different ratios. So for men, they get a spurt of testosterone once every hour. For us women, it balances our menstrual cycle. So it's going to control your estrogen, your progesterone, as well as your testosterone, because testosterone is very important for libido. So that probably explains why your husband has the libido he does and why you have the libido that you do. So, oh, sorry guys, I'm going backwards. Okay, so there's actually a hormone hierarchy, and a lot of people don't know this, but these at the bottom are your base. So cortisol, insulin, and oxytocin are required for you to live. And if these are not in balance, these above them will never be in balance. So this is why a lot of women slap on bioidenticals to manage their estrogen and their progesterone. But then when they go back in for hormone testing, their hormones are a little bit still off because that is a direct sign that either usually it's their insulin or their cortisol that's the actual issue. Interesting, right? So tonight I want to talk about how environmental toxins actually cause hormone balance. And I would have to say that this is probably at least 75% of our problems. Yes, we do go through various different cycles in our lives of hormone balance as women. But when we are plagued with heavy metals and man-made chemicals, it's going to be nearly impossible for you to balance your hormones. So some heavy metals that you need to be aware of. The first one is cadmium. Cadmium is considered the estrogen mimicker. It literally mimics estrogen in the body. And therefore, what happens is when your body produces estrogen, it will push that estrogen out through your feces, because when it's cadmium will go onto the estrogen receptor of a cell and it holds on there and can literally be there for decades. Lead's really associated with our metabolism and energy. So if you're struggling with a slowed metabolism or energy drains, especially in the afternoon, lead could potentially be one of your issues. Arsenic's correlated to the thyroid imbalance and then fertility. So like Thane was sharing before we got on the call, that one of his clients utilized the cell defender, and after 10 years of trying to conceive, she actually conceived. I would guess that it was probably from arsenic in her tap water that she was drinking and showering in every single day. Mercury, huge one. Ubiquitous in our environment. I would say that mercury and aluminum are the two most common that we see these days, but mercury is directly correlated to brain fog and fatigue. Aluminum, again, that one really loves the thyroid, but it also loves our brain. And recent studies have actually shown that aluminum may be the precursor to dementia, which is pretty fascinating. So man-made chemicals, we're not going to discuss these tonight, but I wanted you all to be aware, because I strongly, strongly encourage everyone to educate themselves on this stuff, because right now the FDA has approved 90,000 different chemicals, and there are so many out there that it's leading to chronic disease. And that's where Cell Defender comes in huge, because Cell Defender is going to remove many of these heavy metals. Therefore, it's not going through your liver like we learned about last week. And so it's not backing up. Therefore, your liver is able to convert the man-made chemicals more efficiently and remove them through urination and defecation. So a couple of these are BPA. That's been in the news a lot, but one of the common places that BPA is found that most people don't know is in their receipts. So anytime you go to the store and you grab a receipt from the cashier and put it in your bag, you just put BPA into your system. Wow. Phthalates are sleep and mood wreckers. I mean, they literally can disrupt your sleep. Phthalates and parabens are both found in most skincare products. Parabens, right along with arsenic and aluminum, love the thyroid. This is why I think we have an epidemic of hypothyroid in the United States, is because the arsenic, aluminum, and parabens are pretty much so everywhere. And so if you're not actively removing them from the body and from your lifestyle, you more than likely will end up with thyroid dysfunction. Pesticides, glyphosate, it's been in the news a lot. There's been tons of lawsuits. People have won. It's a horrible, horrible chemical. It affects your fertility, but it also wreaks havoc on your gut. It creates so much gut dysbiosis that this is why we're seeing almost an immune crisis right now. I think everyone in the room at this point can know somebody with an autoimmune disorder. The pesticides, guys. And then we also have the forever chemicals. These cause unexpected weight gain and chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is, again, one of the root causes of 90% of our diseases in the United States. So specifically, since these are the most important hormones in our bodies, because if we regulate our oxytocin, our insulin, and our cortisol, our bodies are able to manage our reproductive, our sleep, and our thyroid hormones that much more efficiently. So the first one I want to talk about tonight is lead. Like I said before, lead is correlated to metabolism and your energy. So what happens is when you have an overload of lead in the body, your adrenal gland hormones tank. So that's your adrenaline, that's your sex hormones, that is your DHEA, things like that. So common places that you're going to find lead these days are in paint, right? We all know that in the 1970s, we were moving our water through our cities in lead pipes. We also were painting our houses in lead because lead gave paint a more vibrant color. But now what's happened, because we did utilize all these paints and these lead-based pipes, it's pretty much so ubiquitous in your tap water. Ladies, lead is also legally allowed in your lipstick and your hair dyes. Mercury. Mercury is a huge contributor to brain fog. What mercury does for cortisol is it interferes with the production. So sometimes, depending upon how much mercury you have in your body, sometimes it'll reduce your cortisol and your cortisol levels will go high. But more customarily, what I see with my patients is that their cortisol is super high just because of the demands of life that we have these days, but also because we're all exposed to mercury because it's in canned fish. A lot of us have mercury-based fillings in our mouths. Ladies, it's in our mascara and it's in our seafood, like our scallops and our shrimp. So lead and mercury right now, it's very hard to avoid those, even if you are making a conscious effort to reduce these types of things, it's still there. So let's move on to insulin. Insulin imbalances can definitely be correlated to arsenic. Arsenic is one of the top heavy metals that is found in your tap water. It's also found in rice and seafood. And why it's so detrimental to the body is because let me go back and let me explain kind of how things work. So you eat something and your body will convert carbohydrates and proteins sometimes into glucose. And so the glucose go through your blood, and then your pancreas is going to get a signal that you have too much you have too much sugar in your blood. So it secretes insulin, and insulin comes by, and it's like the little taxi cab, and it picks up the blood glucose, drives it into a cell, and then pushes it into a cell, and that way the cell can use it as food. Pushes it into a muscle cell. That way the muscle cell can use it as food. So when you're running or walking, breathing, anything like that, your body is using glucose in order to perform, basically. So what happens with arsenic is the insulin is not quite sure totally, should it go pick up the glucose? Should it not? So what we're seeing now is diabetes type 2. The last time I looked, I think 50% of the US population was considered diabetic and 70% were pre-diabetic. So it only leaves 30% of people that are actually have healthy glucose insulin responses. Arsenic is one of the reasons why. Mercury. Again, we already said that it's the brain fog and fatigue culprit. But how it affects insulin is it decreases the production. So what happens is all that blood glucose, it just keeps going up and up and up in your blood, and it reduces your insulin sensitivity, which is kind of like the doctor's version of diabetes or pre-diabetes. Again, those are found in canned tunas, fillings, mascara, and seafood. So a couple more that are detrimental to our insulin balance is cadmium. Again, cadmium mimics estrogen, but it also interferes with glucose entering the cells. So when your body is going to take in when a cell is going to take in glucose, it has GLUT receptors specific. And so not only does the cadmium attach to that GLUT receptor, not allowing the glucose to enter, it kind of plugs it up and it sticks there forever. So what happens? We've already talked about it. The blood glucose goes up. And again, you're at risk for diabetes. In my personal and professional opinion, I think this is why we see so many children with pre-diabetes because of their exposure to cadmium, because it's found in cigarette smoke, it's found in our tap water, in our soil. So they're drinking it, they're eating it. And also, I've read some research where the kids are actually getting the cadmium in utero through the mother's womb. So it's almost like they're born at a detriment. It's a really sad state of affairs right now, guys. So the last one I want to talk about with insulin is lead. Lead is very detrimental to our metabolism, and it's also very detrimental to our bone health. We're really not talking about bone health, but we do know that most perimenopause and menopausal ladies will experience some sort of osteoporosis during their menopause journey. So that's something to think of as well. But lead directly decreases the amount of insulin. So again, that blood glucose is going up, and your diabetes risk is increasing tremendously as the days go by. Again, lead is found in paint, tap water, lipstick, and hair dyes. So, question, what can you do? So now that we've talked about how these heavy metals are pretty much so in our everyday lives at this point. I mean, gosh, the kids that haven't even taken their first breath in their mama's uterus are exposed to these. So first and foremost, you need to reduce exposure in every way possible that you can. So remove those fillings. But do not let a traditional dentist remove them. What will happen is when they are drilling, because our fastest absorption method is through our mouth, it's going to go into our bloodstream and it's literally going to poison you. So you need to find a highly qualified I'm forgetting the term.
We'll have someone look it up. We'll have someone look it up.
Thanks. And anybody can ask me too, and I can find somebody. But also filter your tap water. Now, and I'm not just talking about one of those, what are those Britas? Everyone's like, I filter my tap water with the Brita. Excellent. But when you look at what an actual Brita removes, all it's removing is basically sediment. You need to do like a Berkey, reverse osmosis, a Kangen water filter system, something that specifically removes these heavy metals from the water. Also, replace your furnace filter with a high quality one. There's different grades of furnace filters, and there's ones that are HEPA approved. Those are the ones that I strongly encourage all my patients to get because, again, everything's in the environment, therefore it's also in our air. And then also replace your makeup and skincare. Like, ladies, go find an all-natural hair dye, mascara, foundation, all of those things. Because at this point, if you think about it, if our tap water is contaminated with all of these things, anything that's made with that tap water is also altered. Educate yourself. There are a lot of practitioners out there that are specializing in environmental medicine. I see them on Instagram. I see them on Facebook. The information is out there. Shall you want to seek it? I myself host classes every single month. I'll put all my contact information in the chat so you can connect with me. But please, please, please educate yourself, because as Christine stated, that 90% of the disease that we see today is because of exposure to these heavy metals and environmental toxins. And of course, add Cell Defender to your daily routine. At the beginning, do a Marcy dose. If you know that you are sweating regularly and you are pooping regularly and you have excellent detox pathways, take as much as you can, get that stuff out. Because what's going to happen is those first couple days of dosages, it's going to remove what it easily can, like in the bloodstream. And then as you keep consistently taking it, it's going to go into the cells and it is going to start drawing out all of that lead from the bones that's been in there for 50 years. And all of the arsenic that's been pushed into your fat cells because your body's needed to do something with it, because you were like glowing like the little green tube on the Simpsons episode. So yeah, add Cell Defender to your daily routine. And I encourage you, be consistent with it, because when you're consistent with it is when you are going to see the best results. And that is all I have for y'all today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wasn't that a wonderful presentation of everybody's eyes to what we deal with on an everyday basis? My husband is an excavator. He fixes pipes under the grounds on big sites. And, ever since I've known him, he said he doesn't want to drink the water. He doesn't drink water. So we have all those filters in our house, every one that you just named. So very, very important. But Dr. Karah, that was amazing. I know we have some questions. I'm going to put also in the chat. It's basically some information about clean makeup, things that you can use as we start to make those changes in our life if you haven't made them already. So let's see. Who has a question? I see a question coming up I saw a hand up. Carol, did you? Who would like to ask Dr. Karah a question? You can raise your hand or you can speak up. Love if you would unmute and share. Or go ahead and ask her directly. Gary?
Gary has one, yeah.
Hi, Gary. How are you?
Howdy. So Dr. Karah, that was a great presentation. My question is, prior to your learning about Cell Defender, what were you telling your patients?
Great questions. So prior to learning about Cell Defender, I didn't even know that this was a problem. I'm 100% on it. So I did know the chemicals were a problem, because I personally have suffered with obesity, infertility, thyroid disorder, things like that. And so in my own personal quest to get healthy, I knew the chemicals were a significant problem, but I never knew that the heavy metals could be a contributor, because in medical school, we learn, oh, heavy metals, like, oh, lead pipes or paint. And it's like, okay, but you don't realize that they're actually still in our everyday products. You know what I mean? So then I started diving deeper, and Carol and I got together and we started our podcast. And, it's like, I'm researching for this and I'm researching for this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Cell Defender is a key supplement for my patients to actually get healthy, no matter if they're a hormone patient or not. Just in general, it is one of the first supplements that I recommend. Mm-hmm.
Great. And a follow-up, just say more, if you could, please, about thyroid issues, not the hyper, I guess it's called the hypo issue, or so where, just say more about that and ways to deal with it correctly.
Well, what do you mean? Well, so we know that heavy metals are a contributor because endocrine glands absolutely love chemicals and heavy metals. So every single one of those ones is affected. The thyroid, I think, is most affected because most of the heavy metals go through our breath in our mouth. And guess what it hits first?
Yep.
So just by osmosis, it's getting hit. Also, there's a chemical called atrazine. It's sprayed in the Midwest very profusely, all over the corn, oat, barley, and wheat. And they also spray it right before it's harvested because they figured out that if they spray it really quick right before they harvest it, it dries out the grains faster. And that way they reduce mold when they're put into the silos and the trucks and the trains. So it's definitely, our thyroids are getting hit by 4 to 6 different chemicals and heavy metals. So that's why we see an epidemic of hypothyroid, because these heavy metals are going onto the cell receptors, and the T4 and the T3 aren't converting and attaching and working properly.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Dr. Karah, I have a question regarding PCOS. Do you work with patients with PCOS?
yes, ma'am. I sure do. PCOS is actually just an extension of a hormone imbalance.
Well, I know firsthand that a lot of young girls do go, they go to the doctor, gynecologist, or endocrinologist, and right away the first thing that they want to do, many in my experience, has been write that script for birth control. So it's nice to know that we can clean it up a different way, and proud of the young group that I work with, that they all were educated enough to know that they could have that opportunity or that choice instead of going on something synthetic and then cleaning up their bodies with Cell Defender. Richard, you have a question? Feel free. You're next up.
Yes,
Richard.
Dr. Kruse, great presentation. Like Gary mentioned, I struggle with thyroid. I've been on levothyroxine for 20 years. And I'm wondering, after taking a Cell Defender for a year, are there any indicators our bodies would tell us that we're heading in the right direction in that regard? And another thing is, I wanted to ask you, I went to your website and I was hoping to see this presentation on your website because it's so good. I want copies of it. So I'm hoping you'll post it on the training page. Amazing.
Thank you, Richard. I actually don't think I have a training page on there. It's been a while since I've looked at my own website, but that is a fantastic idea. So I potentially will steal that from you, and I will definitely give you credit. As far as the thyroid, you should see your TSH levels shifting.
Okay.
But being on levothyroxine, since you are doing synthetic chemical-based hormones, not necessarily will you see that. What will happen is your doctor will be like, oh, now all of a sudden you're moving hyper, so they'll reduce your medication.
Okay.
Kind of as a caveat, my mentor always said we kind of have a 5-year shelf life. And so if you have been hypoactive for over 5 years, then the cells have done a lot of DNA damage changes within the mitochondria. So you might not see those. So I would be curious. And please report back to us when you get your TSH levels drawn.
Okay.
If you start moving more towards hyperactivity and your levothyroxine gets reduced.
Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Dr. Karah, I can clip this out, your training, and send the video to you.
Of course you can, Carol. You're like the tech genius. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Go ahead. I'll put your it's thrivehealinginstitute.com. I'm going to put that in the chat. Also.
No, my website is drkarah.com.
Oh, okay. I pulled it off of your drkarah.com, and you can see the spelling right there, drkarah.com. Okay, let's see. Thank you. Are there any more questions?
I have a question. And
Joyce.
Joyce.
I don't seem to be on there. But anyway, yeah, because I've gone around and around with this thing about the mercury fillings, and those dentists from Western Dental, the regular, you don't have amalgam fillings. And I'm going, yeah, that I do. And it's been leaking into my brain for years, and I have this fog. And so I just know that's happening. So I went to a really expensive dentist, like we're talking 38,000 or more dollars to do 4 quadrants. And he says, here's the mercury that you have in your fillings. Here's the x-rays we took, which I paid a couple $100 just for those. And then I didn't go to him in the end then, but still he said, look, this is the mercury right here. This is the light part on this filling. So it's like a white, and then it was a lighter white. So that's what he showed me. So I was convinced that I did have this mercury in there. And then the Western Dental, because the kid said, Mom, you just go to the dentist like normal people. I said, I don't think I should. So we went round and round with them, and I spent $8,000 with Western Dental. Then I got it all back because they had no one who knew anything about amalgam fillings. They just said that they don't exist. And so then I went to more expensive dentist, like a middle expense. So she was still quite expensive, and she doesn't know if there's amalgam underneath the crown. So she did a whole section of my mouth, and there wasn't anything in there. And I believe her, or I felt like I would have like lost my whole brain if she'd come to some. But anyway, I'm still going around. Do you know anybody that, I mean, does anyone know that they can see that you have a mercury in your fillings? But she says she can't see until she drills through the crown, and there's 2 areas that might have that. And I don't know if she's the one that drapes you, because I've been to the site where they have all the precautions that they do. The smart dentist, SMART is what you look for. So I'm just wondering if they really can see it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joyce, that's a good topic for another night with maybe we'll get
Sure.
we do have some dentists here, and I don't want to cut you off, but that would be a
Okay,
great
that's
topic. So thanks for
fine.
the idea. So we'll see if we can get a dentist to come on and speak to this. Okay. Thank you
Yep.
so much. Thank you, Joyce. Okay. Any other questions? Any other hands up or questions?
Joe has his hand up.
Okay, we got a big screen going on here. All right, so Dr. Karah rings the bell at 67 on the Zoom. That's the biggest number. Doug Dickey was at 55.
Yeah.
Dr. Karah rung it up 67. So welcome. Question? Go ahead. Who did you say, Joe?
Joe, and he is muted. Joe, you're muted.
Oh, Joe G.
Yeah.
Mr. Gold. Joe, you're muted.
There you go.
Okay, I'm off. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very enlightening and brought several things to mind. I like fish, and I went to a fish diet instead of a meat protein diet. And it seems like I chased my tail not to be able to get loaded up with mercury on a fish-related diet. Is there any way out of that circular problem?
Take your cell defender. But I will tell you that there's still going to be heavy metals in the chicken and the beef. So it's just like pick your poison kind of a thing at this point. Yeah. Do your Marcy doses, Joe, when you eat your fish. That way you get it all out.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Yeah, well, I think the point is too, wouldn't you agree, Dr. Karah? It's like we just can't escape it anyway, which, forward. So the level of what is infused or we're under attack from, that's why it's so important to have our army of defense, our cell defender, and our other products with detoxolite in it. Any other questions? Anybody have a comment or want to share a testimonial? Please feel free. We have a few more minutes, and we'd love to. Eddie, go ahead, Ed. You got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's really ironic that a lot of our products have plus this, plus that, plus this, and what we are is a subtracting company. We take it out, and so we find the bad guys and we get them out to make way, like you said, Christine earlier, make way for the good. And so, and Dr. Karah, you're amazing. I mean, all the information you shared, that was incredible. And I can't wait to watch the recording over and over again. But yeah, we're a subtracting company. We don't, people call me all the time. They're like, no, I take vitamin A, E, I, O, U. They go through the whole alphabet. I'm like, that's great, but none of that's going to be as effective as it can be if you don't take out the stuff that's in the way to make it able to do what it needs to do. But that was great. That was one of the best calls. Thank you so much, Doctor. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I always tell people that you aren't what you eat, you are what you absorb. And if there's things in your bloodstream that are preventing you from absorbing all those beautiful supplements that you're taking, they're pointless.
Right. Yep. Got it.
I never forget the day my daughter came home and cleaned everything out of our pantry, our refrigerator, off to the garbage. She reads every label, and I just sent her asked her for the site, so hopefully we'll get that. Pat Tracy, are you with us? Where's Pat? Okay, just checking. Someone just asked, how's Pat? And I said, she's with us tonight. Okay, Janie, you have a question.
Yes, she was on a trip.
Yeah, she was on a long journey.
She's tired. She's tired.
That's how much we all care about one another, just making sure everybody's okay. Janie, go ahead. You got a question?
Thank you, Christine. I was just talking to one of my clients. He had knee replacement just done. He has a long history of chewing tobacco and working with heavy metals, stained glass, construction, gardening. He's already I think had 2 hip replacements. Yeah. And I just followed up with him. He had his knee replacement last week, and I really had a hard time reaching him. And I asked him, how's he doing? Because I gave him, he finally purchased Cell Defender and Nano Silver. He says the Cell Defender, he's taking that finally, but the Nano Silver, he said, is making his stomach turn. So do I push the Nano Silver or just keep encouraging the use of the Cell Defender only at this point?
I'm sorry, was that question for me, Janie?
Oh, for
I thought it was to everyone.
Everyone, not necessarily an endocrine problem, but just how do I encourage this person to feel like the product will help him? He's been very slow to start. I gave him the product in February, and maybe just recently he started to use it. He was afraid, I think, it was going to interfere with the medications he was going to receive for his surgery.
Okay. And that's fair enough. Like, a lot of people do have fears, and kudos to him for actually actualizing his fears and sharing them with you. I mean, for me, I would say send him to one of my classes, because the more knowledge that he has about surrounding these subjects, the more apt he will be to take his Cell Defender, because he'll know the importance of taking it.
Okay.
And I wanted to encourage him to invite him to this call, and invite him to this call. Like she said, education is power. Regarding the tobacco, was it the chewing tobacco he was doing?
Yes.
Chewing tobacco. So I think I shared a couple of weeks ago, my son was using that Zyn. He suffered from a terrible accident, long story short, many years ago, and gave up cigarette smoke and was doing the Zyn. And now he's going to do a testimonial and on the power of plus relief, spraying the plus relief.
He has that too.
Yeah. So
he was reluctant to use the plus relief. I finally got him to use it.
Yeah, well, we're going to record that testimonial also. So, we're here to help and support, and of course, do a 3-way call, perhaps, if that would help you too, Janie. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Christine.
All right. Questions? Anybody else have a question? Hand up. Can't see them all, so it's a little hard. We got a bigger screen tonight.
I think she did such a thorough job. There aren't any questions.
Yeah, there was a question that came through my phone. She couldn't jump on, but you mentioned something about dementia. Dementia is she's asking a question now. Was it mercury? She got booted off.
Aluminum. Yeah. So fascinating, y'all. 3% of our brains right now are plastic. So what they're doing in the autopsy is to try to figure out kind of how it's getting through the blood-brain barrier and things like that. They're dissecting the tau proteins that they're finding in Alzheimer's and dementia, and they're actually finding some of the chemicals and heavy metals.
Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, that's also great news, right? Because now if we know where it's coming from, we offer a solution, people can reduce the risk. So it's sad and detrimental, but yet encouraging all at the same time, because there's been so many families that are affected by Alzheimer's and dementia. And now we have a product that is the solution, part of the solution.
And your message tonight really, I hope, will encourage everyone to just keep sharing, keep educating people about this, because we have the answer.
Yeah, and Carol is, as you see, Carol, she's always just bubbling and happy, and she's using that spray on her face, and she gets younger every time she comes on this Avini Vibe. So, it's just remarkable. Not only we talked about Cell Defenders, so many other products. We're not going to go into them tonight, but feel free if you want to reach out to any one of us. If you're new, if you're a guest, Steve, I know you're a guest. Feel free. You can reach out to me, or we'll get you in touch with anyone on the call that is supportive to your knowledge and the experience that you need. Because it is sometimes a big step when you hear about the magic pill. I have a customer that comes in and says, "Oh, I don't want to know the science. I just want to know what the magic pill is." So you never know who needs to know what, right? There's no magic pill, but we have to protect ourselves. Eddie, can you do me a favor and just close us out? But you talk about the little army that goes in our bodies.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's really funny when I talk to people and they tell me everything that they're doing to take care of their bodies, and I say, that's fantastic, but we have a specialized bunch of products, right? There's only 10, 11, 12 maybe, and Rik is very specific with that. And God made the body to heal itself. So when everybody says what they're doing to add to what their problems are, it's like a stagnant pond. If you keep adding to a stagnant pond, it's not a freshwater stream. So what you have to do is you got to take away the things that are impeding what you're putting in your body so that it can be more effective. And so it drives me crazy because I know that everybody wants to take vitamins and all that, and that's wonderful. But it's a subtraction. We are basically a homeopathic, holistic cleaning company. That's what we are. We take away the bad, and then we put the army in there so that when the bad guys come in, there's literally an army there waiting for them. And then they come in, they get killed, destroyed, and they get beat out. And that's what we do. And it's that simple. And and it's funny that people don't really get that, but we're not a detox. We're not just any other detox company. We're a detox, basically the best on the planet. Anything we have, nobody has, and everything is behind a story. There's a story behind everything we have. Alan Way, everyone in this call probably has a story, right? So the army goes in and it's ready for battle, and it wins every time.
Ooh, I like that.
And a cleaner body can fix itself. Wouldn't you agree?
Right.
Every time.
All right, Chip, you with us? Looks like you're driving.
Lorena had her hand up.
I am here.
Hi, Chip.
And I have to say, it's kind of nice to be inside the stagecoach instead up on top driving.
Right.
This is a total transfer to you guys. What a wonderful presentation, discussion, the questions, the answers. Dr. Karah, from a different perspective, all new slides, a whole new voice, an interesting background, lots of cool details. I loved it when Ed said, why is it plus, plus, plus when we actually subtract? That's a clever little twist, right? That's a clever little twist of the words. And so I really enjoyed that. And, I'm just so proud of you guys, what you're capable of doing and carrying this idea forward. And to have this group get this big, You know, there used to be a dozen of us, right? But we could see it coming. You could see it coming. And so that's the main thing. You know, I could take any of the tidbits along there, and I was learning and getting ideas. Oh, I'd like to add to this, but that's a different day. I pass it back to Carol and Christine, and thank you all.
Tonight too, because I'm in the car. I'm in the stagecoach with him,
Yeah,
and I want to say great presentation. I also want to say great questions. You guys have done a great job
Yeah.
of asking questions and getting just that much more. And that's very, very valuable. When you participate, everybody wins. So if you ask a question, there are 15 people out there that wish they had. So I appreciate your participation in doing that. Also, when we were talking about chewing tobacco, remember, Cell Defender is a great defense against the addiction of tobacco. So we have people who have walked away after just starting to use Cell Defender for a few days, walked away free of their addiction. And that has meant a lot to both Chip and I over the years, the different ones. But our cowboys that are no longer addicted, that means a lot.
First one had part of his face removed and was still chewing, and walked up to us and said, "What have you got?" And we had just learned about, you know, Rik, and said, "Here, try this." And he came back and said, "I can't believe it. I'm doing better, you know, at not chewing that."
He would put fresh chew in the hole in his jaw that he had from having his jaw removed. And he stopped doing it that day and never did it again.
So that's when you're desperate enough to really go after it, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, love you all. I give you a little love because that's what I do best. So here's some love to everybody. Go spread it around. When you find somebody that just needs some you, let them know there's more to you than they ever imagined.
Yes. Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
Sandra, did you have a
Welcome.
question?
Lorena had her hand up, but now there are two other hands up.
Yeah, I see the other two hands, but Marina, I didn't see. I can't find her. Go ahead, Marina. You'll be up, and then we'll go ahead, go to Lisa, and then we'll close out with Gary.
I was just going to ask you, Christine, about the plus relief and your son's story, how that linked.
Well, he's been using the Cell Defender also. You know, he had a terrible accident, had a brain injury, broke his back, had a TBI on a motorcycle accident. And so he had a lot of things going on in his healing process. So one of his crutches was smoking, you know, at first. And I said, no more smoking in the house. So we got rid of that. And then, you know, he started to use the Zin, but no more. Again, he's just using the Plus Relief and the Cell Defender. And, you know, today it's cool because he's now training people to work out and fit. So one of the ladies came to the house and started working out. She's a teacher and she couldn't touch her toes. And then in 2 weeks, she's touching her toes now. She asked me about the trim science. So he just called me and said, hey, Mom, can I give my clients, I want to give them a free gift. Can I give them, can I get, you know, water things for them and give them a hydration package? I said, you bet you can. So it's kind of cool how the young people are doing it too. You know, it's not all about, as Neil says, it's not about waiting out of the hospital for the sick people. It's prevention. This is about prevention. Lisa, you have a question. Lisa D.
Yes, hi. Wonderful presentation, Karah. Awesome, awesome. But my question is in regards to cholesterol and our overburdened livers. I have a lot of clients and customers who have this issue going on. And what would you say to the Cell Defender helping them out, or the new Plus Balance?
Well, Cell Defender does not affect your cholesterol, but as we know, when we have a clean body, things change. It really depends on so many different things, Lisa, because like us as women, we should have higher cholesterols. And then as we transition through menopause, our cholesterol naturally goes up. Also, because of statins, they have changed the high cholesterol limit from 230 to 200. So healthy levels are actually right around 230. So while your conventional medical doctor might say that you have high cholesterol, me as a naturopathic doctor, I'm looking at many different factors. So, Lisa, why don't we connect outside of this call and continue this conversation, and that way we can have more of a discussion. I would love to connect with you.
Sounds great.
Very good. Gary, you'll be our
Yes.
last question, okay? We're hitting the 8:30 mark. So, Gary, you're on the
Okay.
floor. Oh, can't hear you,
Can you
Gary.
hear me all right?
There you are.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to weigh in on the plus comment. So if there's an Avini product and it's a plus balance, I'm taking the plus to mean that it's got detoxolite in it. Thus the plus. Any of the Avini products with a plus in it, it's the detoxolite. If it's the silver, there's no plus to it, but because it doesn't contain detoxolite. That's just my homespun theory. Anybody want to comment on that? I'd be glad to hear about it.
Well, Gary, you're very observant. I sat next to him in Las Vegas all week, and very observant, Gary. Thank you for the comment. Go ahead. Somebody speaking about that?
Well, the only difference with that is the Plus Relief does not have the detoxolite in it.
Right. Oh, that's right. Plus.
Say again?
The detoxolite does not have the Plus Relief. The Plus Relief is not in the detoxolite. No, the Plus Relief does not have the detoxolite in it, and the silver does not have the detoxolite in it. But everything else in our product line contains detoxolite in either first or second pass.
Thus, there's no plus in the silver.
No, but there's Plus Relief. Plus Relief does not contain the detoxolite. That's the outlier to your theory.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for that comment. All right, everyone, we're coming to a close. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Karah. Thank you for joining us, each and every one of you. Hopefully next week we'll have Michael from compliance on. Still waiting for his thumbs up. He gave me a head bob, but I don't have the official. So hopefully next week we have some really great shows coming up regarding different topics. Priscilla's helping gather some of those guests for more. We're going to have a nurse series. So we got a lot of good things. But again, one more time, a little round of applause for Dr. Karah. And a round of applause for you. Listen, everyone, keep going out, sharing Avini. Let's make the world a better place together. Okay. God bless you.
Bye, everyone.
Good night. The recording will be up. Carol always does that. So thank you, Carol.
Yep,
Right.
absolutely.
Good
Bye,
night, everybody.
everyone. Bye.
Bye now.
Really real. Thank you.
Thank you.